I think my life has totally turned around.
Cindy, how did you find Carnivore?
Well, I've been on a healing journey for a long time. And I think I heard about it on Facebook, and then I started looking at YouTube videos. I have had a lot of health issues. 5 years ago, I got bit by a tick and was diagnosed with Lyme disease. Um, and shortly thereafter, I was given the antibiotic Cipro, and it totally messed up my entire body. Um, it flipped my sleep cycles. I was backwards day and night. Had this internal trembling that was just horrible to deal with. I couldn't regulate my body temperature. I was either trembling, freezing, or sweating hot. And this went on for years. And I was working with a functional doctor who suggested I might have mold in my house. And it turns out that they were correct. I had mold in my house. And so then there was another 2 years of finding the mold, remediating the mold. And all this time I was taking dozens of supplements. I went to acupuncture every week. It was a very hard time. I was horribly depressed. I literally thought I was dying. I moved out of that house. It'll be 2 years this summer, but still wasn't really improving significantly despite everything I was doing. Um, so in December, I found Carnivore, and I maybe even before that, I was kicking the idea around for a few months, but December 24th, I just woke up and I said, I'm just going to throw myself into this because what could the harm be? I couldn't possibly be more miserable than I already was. And I just dove into it. And then I learned as I went, pretty much. So in the beginning, I did all the meats and all the cheeses and dairy and all that. And I would say within a few weeks, oh, I had terrible anxiety. I was taking two different supplements for that. Within a few weeks, that was gone. No more anxiety. It was absolutely amazing. Um, and then I don't know at what point I stopped trembling, but how a Chihuahua dog, I have a Chihuahua, so when they get excited, they tremble. That was me. And at some point that stopped. And I had told myself, I'm going to give it a week and see what happens. And then after a week, I said, I'm going to give it 30 days and see what happens. And by 30 days, I was totally hooked. Well, it's been more than 3 months now. I've lost 25 pounds. That to me is just the bonus. I didn't do it for the weight loss, but I have always needed to lose weight. I have no anxiety. I've been on antidepressants my whole adult life. I'm weaning down to, I'd say within a month, I will be off of it entirely. That's always been my lifetime goal. I am a very health conscious person anyway, so like I never took the vaccine for the thing that went around a few years ago. I go I go to a mountain spring and collect water there. That's the water I drink. And I found a naturopath who he was aligned with keto. He didn't know much about carnivore, but he supported what I was doing. And I take very few supplements now. Um, I think my life has totally turned around. I'm not depressed. I'm not anxious. I still deal with, I don't think the mold is totally out of my body yet, but I still deal with fatigue. Um, and what's my other big issue? Fatigue and joint pain. Um, so the hot flashes that I'd had are gone. That inability to regulate body temperature, that's not a problem anymore. I mean, I'm just flabbergasted. So that naturopath did some allergy testing. I'm sensitive to dairy, So I was having a lot of the diarrhea, which I thought was part of what came with carnivore, but it was actually the dairy that was doing it. Um, so I cut that out. First, I cut out cheese. I've only given up my coffee and cream in the last 2 weeks because it was the hardest thing for me to stop. Um, I'm just I'm just very excited about where this is going to take me with my health
That's
overall.
that's awesome. You've seen so many improvements in such a short time.
Yep.
That's
There's
fantastic.
no doubt in my mind that this way of eating works for me personally. Everybody in my family thinks I'm crazy. I have adult children who are vegetarian. They're like, "Ma, you can't be eating meat." And I'm like, "Yeah, this is what's healing me. I really believe it's what's healing me." Uh,
Yeah. It's very hard to understand until you've done it though, right?
right. And then there was, oh, I didn't even mention, I when all this illness started, I was prescribed medical marijuana and I wound up using it every day. That limits your life in a whole different way because I wouldn't drive when I was stoned and I really didn't go out when I was stoned. And so I wound up just sitting in my house and smoking. And I knew that that's not the life I wanted for myself, but I couldn't see it. I've tried many times, had tried many times to give it up. Well, I'd say even a month into it, if I would smoke, I got lightheaded. And one time I even passed out and I said, somehow the smoking does not jive with the carnivore eating. And I just stopped. I don't desire it. I don't miss it. I don't, I do miss what I thought were the good times with it, but I really don't miss it. Like my quality of life is just so much better now with this way of eating. And I didn't go through any, I didn't have headaches or any kind of withdrawal. I didn't,
Mm.
um, I didn't miss the carbs. So now it is hard walking into a grocery store and walking past all the aisles of everything else to get to the back where the meat department is. Um, but I live now in a very agricultural area, and I found a few local farmers that raise their own beef, and can't you can't beat the flavor. It's so much better than grocery store meat. So I feel like I'm going to do this for the rest of my life.
Can you contrast a day in your life now to a day in your life like 5 months ago? What
Sure.
w
Um, Now I wake up, I'm not even hungry. Before, really, most of my whole life, I would say I was addicted to food. It was always in the back of my mind. What is my next meal going to be? You know, what am I going to eat? When am I going to eat? How am I going to eat it? Um, and grocery shopping, I probably went to the grocery store several times a week because, lettuce wilts and cucumbers go bad. And there's always something else you need to have. Um, my fridge is used to be packed full of all that stuff, and now it's just mostly meat in the freezer and then some meats in the refrigerator. Um, I only go to the store maybe every couple of weeks and stock up on my meats. I'm not thinking about, like, I know what I have in the house. I don't have anything in the house that's not carnivore, so it's just not a part of my everyday frame of reference. I do have, my son is expecting a baby, and there's a baby shower in June, and I'm concerned about going to it and sitting there for 2 hours with all the junk food that's going to be out there because I'm weak willed, I guess, if it's in front of me. Um, so we'll just have to see how that goes. I'm planning on bringing some meat with me and honestly, today I'm not hungry much of the time. I used to always be hungry, and it's such a difference.
Can I say, as a fellow weak-willed person, I reckon by June, I would say by June, you're probably gonna be a lot better at being around those kind of trigger foods.
Yeah. I
and
had
not
one.
getting triggered.
Yes. My I turned 70 in February, and the kids took me out to dinner, and I ordered steak, of course. It came with fries, which I gave to the grandchildren, and they brought the steak out practically inedible. It was so well done. I like my meat medium rare on the rare side. So they took the plate back and made another one, and of course everybody was else was eating. So I indulged in, I was picking at the fries and the bread that they brought to the table, um, because I was hungry at that point and I was ready to eat, and their food wasn't available. And I regretted it because I did not feel well for the next couple of days. So I'm very well motivated to stay away from that stuff. And then in doing all the reading about what's in processed foods and how commercial foods are made, and um, it's just not. I've always been kind of a rebel, so it's just not something I'm interested in. Like, I'm happy with my meat, and I don't care if people think that I'm odd. At my age, it doesn't matter what they think of me because it's my life now.
Mm. I kind of wear that thing as a badge of honor, you know.
Yeah,
It's like I'm quite happy they can think I'm weird. I'm fine. Um, yeah. So, considering you're feeling so much better, it has been a very short time.
it really
Um,
has.
w- how did when you had the tick bite and then you got the Lyme disease, how was what were some of the things you were dealing with there? Was that just like lethargy or
Yeah, it was mostly the fatigue and a lot of joint pain. And I went to a conventional doctor at that point, and I only got 28 days of antibiotics, and I have since found out I should have had a much longer course. So I think that it was in my body for a long time. Um, I just I had to quit my job. I wasn't able to find. I'm an accountant, and the brain fog. Oh, that's the other thing. Just a couple of days into carnivore, and the brain fog lifted, and I think so clearly now, and I can remember things in great detail. Oh, dreaming. I had totally stopped dreaming. I used to dream as a child, and once I got sick, that went away. And now I have very vivid 3D Technicolor. Not always pleasant, but I wake up and I remember them. So I really think my brain is healing too. Also, I was pre-diabetic. My A1C was like 6.2, 6.3. And they tell you all the things they tell you on the food pyramid, none of it works. I'm now 5.7. So only in 3 months, I dropped 5 or 6 points on my A1C. Uh, my
it's
cholesterol has always
amazing.
been high. I don't care about cholesterol. I think it's necessary for the body. Uh, so I'm pretty much
Mm,
evolved now to just beef, salt, and water. It's mostly what I eat. Um, I do
okay.
it that way.
So how does that work during the day for you? Are you eating once, twice?
Twice. I'll have my sleep is still messed up. So I stay up till 2 or 3 in the morning, not that because I want to, because I lay in bed and I just can't sleep. It might also be a function of getting older. I don't know. But that cycle started with the Lyme disease. And then I wake up like at 10 a.m. and I lay around in bed for a few hours. So I usually don't eat till maybe 2 o'clock or so in the afternoon. And then I will have another meal here now after I'm done talking to you. And that's it. I don't feel like I need to snack, or I eat until I'm satisfied. And um, well, if I'm not, I did go through a period of like a week where I couldn't even look at food anymore. I couldn't eat anything. So I made bone broth and I did that.
So how about your with physical activity? Do you find you're more active now?
Well, I have bone on bone knee arthritis, and so that impacts, I really can't do a lot. And the only negative that's happened is I've had 2 gout attacks since December, and I never had gout before. And the blood work does show elevated uric acid crystals. So I am taking a supplement that my um, uh, naturopath recommended. That that's the only negative for me on the carnivore diet. I don't think everyone will have that experience. I don't want to take any pharmaceuticals, so I'm just riding it out. So my activity's been not improved. I would like to get to a point where that was better, but that's just not happening right now. And then with the knees, I can't really walk. I do plan on, last fall, I did physical therapy in the pool, and I plan on doing that again once the weather gets nicer here.
Have you spoken to any friends who have said like, "Oh, what's happened? You're looking great. How do I do that?"
I I haven't. Maybe because my social life became very small in the last 5 years. So I just see family and a lot of doctors' offices still. My regular physician who I went to was just absolutely astounded. She couldn't get over how good I looked. And I told her I was doing carnivore, and she goes, "Well, I'm just going to put it in the chart as keto," like recognizing that carnivore would probably raise some eyebrows. But she said, "Whatever you're doing, keep doing it."
Oh, excellent. Um, so where does this go for you? Are you carnivore for life now?
Yeah, I'm carnivore for life. I would like to be able to add back some more variety at some point. But I realize that I'm early in the game, and I would like to lose another 20 pounds. That I the doctor said, according to her records, I lost 24 pounds in the 3 months. So I was thrilled about that. I seem to have stalled lately, but I'm honestly, that is not the ultimate goal. The goal is to continue to feel well and to heal my body. And I really believe the body is very wise, and it does what it needs to do, so that it can heal. And I think that I'm holding on to weight maybe because things are stored in the fat, toxins and mold, perhaps. Um, I have, I still have GI problems. Leaky gut is what the naturopath called it. So I'm not taking things like binders for the mold until that leaky gut is healed. But meat has glutamine in it, which is what heals leaky gut. So I'm just staying the course. That's my full intention.
Nice. And Cindy, if people want to reach out to you, do you have YouTube or an Instagram or anything like that?
I don't. I have email. I'm on Facebook.
So do you mind if I put your email address in the show
Yeah, go
notes
right
in case
ahead.
people want to reach
Sure.
out?
I don't
Thank
know how
you.
many 70-year-olds start this program. So maybe I have some insight that way as an
Mm,
older person. But my
awesome.
mom is 96 and still
Mm,
alive. She developed Alzheimer's in her 80s. She is nonverbal now. Um, and what they feed in the nursing home is a crime. It's all carbs and processed garbage. But I feel like my longevity, the genes in my body have I have the ability to live into my 90s, and so I want to do that with the best health that I can. Um, and that's what keeps me moving forward. I don't want to be disabled. I don't want to be, you know, I don't want to be the typical old person that can't do anything. So, but it's a process. It's getting healthy is a process. I recently bought a rebounder, which I plan to start using. I find it makes me dizzy when I get on it, so maybe I'm not quite ready for it yet. The kids are trying to push me to get knee replacement. I don't really want to do that because I have heard too many stories about, oh, my eye doctor, for instance, had his knee replaced and ended up with one leg being a little shorter than the other. And then that threw his hip out of alignment. So then a year later, he needed his hip replaced. Like, I don't want to go down that road. I don't have a lot of confidence in the medical industry and the pharmaceutical industry. I want to be independent as long as I can.
I've heard stories myself, you know, where it's people have a knee replacement and it escalates from there. There's just one thing after the
Yes,
other, and you find yourself in the hospital all the time having different operations.
I will tell
Yeah.
you, my husband, who we've been divorcing for years, it's been a nightmare and it's still not over. But I moved out in 2011. He's my age. He can't walk. He's lost all of his toes due to diabetes. He's in the early stages of Alzheimer's. He is older than his years, and he ate the typical standard diet. He munches all the time, and he thinks it's good because he's eating nuts that are healthy. And I'm like, You don't understand. You're eating carbohydrates." His doctor has him on statins. Like he obviously we're not together because we did not have the same frame of mind. And he actually called me stupid for not getting the COVID vaccine. And it's like, well, that's your opinion. It's my body, my choice. I'm going to do what I want.
That's a scary thought. I mean, hearing things about, like, losing toes and stuff, that's enough to keep anyone fixed on carnivore for
Yeah,
life, right? Yeah.
yeah.
Wow.
And I do think it's a little more expensive eating this way. I'm on a fixed budget. But when I think of how much time I spent going to the grocery store and how much got thrown away on a weekly basis, this has to be make more sense. This makes more sense for me.
Yeah, I feel the same way. Yeah. So Cindy, thank you so much for coming on and sharing your story with us. I really appreciate your time.
You're very welcome. I'm happy to share.